Hurricane Irma into Caribbean, Florida evacuation. Hurricane Irma has smashed into the Caribbean island of Barbuda in the storm path's first landfall, as models show it is the strongest Atlantic hurricane ever. The National Weather Service said the eye of Hurricane Irma passed over Barbuda, a small island located near Antigua in the northeastern Caribbean, at 1:47 am local time, 6:47 am BST. The National Hurricane Center said Irma was maintaining Category 5 strength with sustained winds near 185 miles per hour, 295 kilometers per hour. Residents and tourists in the region have been told to stay inside, with Antigua, Anguilla and St. Kitts and Nevis next in the hurricane's path as it heads towards Florida. The hurricane is traveling in a west-north-westerly direction at 15 miles per hour, 24 kilometers per hour, and is passing around 40 miles north of Antigua, where early reports of very strong winds are slowly emerging. One Twitter user wrote, "Some of the biggest gusts from the west in the last few minutes, crashing into the windows, making us both jump." #Hurricane Irma #Antigua. Hurricane warnings remain in place across the Caribbean, and many people in the immediate path of the storm have been left without power. Garfield Burford, the director of news at ABS TV and radio on the island of Antigua, said, "We are hunkered down and it is very windy. The wind is a major threat. So far, some roofs have been blown off. It's very scary. Most of the islands are dark, so it's very, very frightening." Officials are urging anyone still in Barbuda to get in contact, but with power lines and mobile phone signal down. Antigua's ABS media outlets say they haven't heard from still on the island anyone for over an hour. The extent of the damage caused by the hurricane and the number of casualties is not yet known, but many homes in Antigua and Barbuda are not built on concrete foundations and are very susceptible to wind damage. The storm is expected to move slowly across the Caribbean over the next few days before hitting Florida at the weekend. Aid agencies are preparing a huge humanitarian response operation to help those affected by the devastating hurricane. Walter Cott, the U.S. Regional Director of the International Committee of the Red Cross, said the forecast was extremely worrying and added he was anticipating major impacts on a number of islands. He said, "We are especially worried that Irma could affect areas that have been suffering with severe rainfall in the past months." One of the main challenges is going to be logistical. Given the isolation of some of the islands, we need to ensure a reliable channel for relief efforts in the aftermath of the hurricane. The Red Cross has released around £100,000 from its Disaster Relief Emergency Fund to Antigua and Barbuda and St. Kitts and Nevis, with more funds set to follow. The U.S. mainland has already been devastated by Hurricane Harvey in recent days, with the government forced to set aside millions to repair the damage. Officials in Florida have begun ordering evacuations, and there are already huge concerns about Florida Keys, a chain of islands at the southern tip of the state that is a tourist hotspot and home to more than 80,000 residents. Hurricane Irma, the most powerful storm to form in the open Atlantic Ocean, made landfall in the Caribbean early Wednesday and barreled toward Puerto Rico on a path that may bring it ashore in Florida and destroy so much property that damages may surpass Hurricane Katrina. Irma has sent cruise lines and insurance stocks plunging, with Barclays plc estimating insured losses in a worst-case scenario at $130 billion. Natural gas slid on speculation that the storm will wipe out demand for the power plant fuel, and orange and cotton futures surged on potential crop damage. The eye of the storm was passing over Barbuda, the U.S. National Hurricane Center said in an advisory at 2 a.m. New York time. Irma comes less than 2 weeks after Hurricane Harvey smashed ashore in Texas, knocking offline almost a quarter of U.S. oil refining capacity and causing widespread damage, power outages and flooding. While the latest models show the latest storm veering away from gas and oil platforms off the coast of Texas and Louisiana, sparing Houston more devastation, it threatens to wreak havoc upon the Caribbean islands and Florida. Irma is the kind of storm where you get thousands of lives lost, said Chuck Watson, a Savannah, Georgia-based disaster modeler with Enki Research. This is not going to be the big slow-motion flood like Harvey. Irma's top winds were 185 miles, 300 kilometers, an hour late Tuesday, making the system a Category 5, the highest measure on the 5-step Saffir-Simpson scale. It's on track to strike or graze Caribbean islands from Antigua to Puerto Rico through Wednesday, and Cuba by Saturday. U.S. National Hurricane Center said. Hurricane Irma, the most powerful Atlantic Ocean hurricane in recorded history, made its first landfall in the Caribbean early Wednesday as the Category 5 storm swirled on a path that could see it strike the Florida coast by the weekend. The eye of Hurricane Irma passed over Antigua and Barbuda around 2 a.m. ET, according to the National Hurricane Center. Residents said over local radio that phone lines went down as the eye passed. "May God protect us all," local authorities said. The National Hurricane Center said Irma was maintaining sustained winds near 185 miles per hour as it lashed the Leeward Islands with exceptionally strong winds and heavy rain and was heading west-northwest on a path toward Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Cuba. It could reach Florida as early as Friday. There were no immediate reports of injuries or deaths. Previous hurricanes with Irma's ferocity such as Hurricane Wilma, 2005, and Hurricane Mitch, 1998, reached their maximum intensity in either the Gulf of Mexico or the Caribbean Sea. A mandatory evacuation for visitors to the Florida Keys was set to begin at sunrise Wednesday, with residents required to evacuate later in the day. President Trump has already declared emergencies in Florida, Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, and authorities in the Bahamas said they would evacuate 6 southern islands. It's been 25 years since a Category 5 hurricane struck the U.S., and Irma could potentially become just the 4th storm of that strength to barrel into the U.S. Category 5 hurricanes destroy a high percentage of homes, often causing total roof failure and wall collapses. Fallen trees and power poles isolate residential areas. Power outages last for weeks or months, and areas can be uninhabitable for the same time frame. Express Co. UK, Telegraph Co. UK, use it today.